Our guest this week is a great traveler, a passion cherished by Ruben Sviss from a young age, in which he pursued during many years before giving up his stable job and devoting himself entirely to it. And it was actually when he realized that the travel conditions, when you are of dark skin, could lead to certain misadventures. Hence, he had this idea of writing a blog, giving tips and advice, and which very quickly became a success. He shared the beginnings of his story to Laurence Strass and Thierry Schiller. Listen to him.
Hello, Ruben Sviss.
Bonjour.
So, welcome to Initiative Africa. You are a travel blogger and founder of a travel agency specialized in Africa. Why this fascination with travel?
En fait, depuis très jeune.
Since I was very young, I've always loved traveling.
Quand j'étais en primaire, on a fait plusieurs classes.
When I was in primary school, we took several nature classes.
En Italie, en Angleterre.
I had the opportunity to go to Italy, England, the Alps, and Spain. I enjoyed that. I also went to New York with my father when I was 8. He liked it, and that's how it started.
You left a stable job to travel for a year. What did you learn from this journey?
J'en ai beaucoup appris sur la nature.
I learned a lot about human nature. I learned about people. I traveled to countries with lots of different cultures. I had the opportunity to talk to people. Even if we couldn't speak the same language, we could understand each other, which gave me a certain open-mindedness, and I came out of it grown and enriched.
Grandi et enrichi.
Where did the idea of your blog come from?
Alors en fait, j'ai toujours aimé plus ou moins écrire.
Well, I've always enjoyed writing, more or less, and I've always enjoyed traveling, as you know. So the best way to combine the two was to do a travel blog. And since I've traveled a lot on my own, I decided to set up a travel blog and keep it up to date with where I've been and what I've been doing and give information and advice to travelers.
Plus des conseils pour les voyageurs.
You spoke of people's surprise when you told them about your misadventures during your travels, misadventures linked to the color of your skin. What kind of situation did you find yourself in?
The most common was when I arrived at a country's airport and I had to go through immigration. In general, it always takes a bit of time because they ask me all sorts of questions. They ask for my passport and whether I'm French. They'll ask me to make a hotel reservation and ask for my outbound ticket. All sorts of things like that. Sometimes how much money I have, showing my credit card. So that's something I've had to deal with quite regularly. And when I spoke to other black or dark-skinned travelers, I realized that I wasn't the only one. And then, in some countries, but not everywhere, there are often photo requests. So people not used to seeing black people ask to have their photo taken with me, so that they can show them to their friends and family or post them on social networks.
Have you ever been confronted with racism?
It's happened sometimes. I'm not necessarily going to name the countries, but it's happened a few times. Well, microaggressions, especially microaggressions or insults in the local language. But I understood. Yes, it happened.
And how do you diffuse these situations?
It's not always easy, but you must ignore it and move on, and to think they're the stupid ones between them and me. But I haven't had a real direct racist attack. It's often indirect, it's subtle, but you have to try to get past it.
Do you feel that the love of travel for you goes beyond your misadventures and the fact of being of dark skin?
Yes, well, I don't think about it. People's reactions remind me that I'm black. But for me, in concrete terms, it transcends, as you say. I don't think about my skin color when I travel.
How exactly did it happen? When did you realize that there was a problem for dark-skinned people, Africans and others, when they travel?
But in fact, it was when I started contributing to my blog. I realized that I was getting more and more requests and messages from other black travelers saying, I've been to this place too, or I'm planning to go there. What was your experience like? How did it go? Do you think it's safe? Is it safe for me? And as the weeks went by, I started receiving more and more messages, and that's when I realized that there really was a problem and that I needed to talk about it.
Ruben Sviss, you've gone from blogger to author with your book Être noir et voyager, being of dark-skinned and travel. Why precisely this theme?
When I
talked about my travel experiences to non-black people, mainly white people, they were often astonished when I shared anecdotes that I found banal or quite common when traveling. And also when I talked to other black travelers about my experiences, they generally told me they'd been through pretty much the same kind of things. So I thought there was a subject I could talk about. And above all, I remember very well an event with other travelers where I told them I was thinking of writing a book. They were all impressed. You must do it. It's an important subject, and you have the experience. And that's when I decided that maybe I should do it. So I did.
Generally speaking, what advice would you give to dark-skinned travelers?
Alors, il n'y a pas de vrai conseil spécifique.
There isn't any specific advice for black travelers, but I would say to use common sense, i.e., first of all, you're visible in certain countries that aren't used to seeing black people.
Donc, comment expliquer?
So how do you explain that? Avoid putting yourself in risky situations and respect the local population.
Respecter la population locale.
Remember that you're not at home here without necessarily letting people walk all over you. But you have to do all these things simple and quite banal sometimes. And really remember that you're a visitor and not a local.
Advice that could also apply to any other travelers.
Absolutely, except that for us it's really more exacerbated because whatever we do, we're quickly noticed. We're quickly noticed because of our skin color and attitude. And people are more likely to stare at us, look at us, see what we're doing, and scrutinize us all the time. That's why you have to pay attention to what you do and say.
Your book is more specifically devoted to travelers from the West, but there is a chapter devoted to Africa. What can you tell me about it?
I've had the opportunity to talk to black African travelers, and there are very few of them, because it's not easy to travel as a black African. In the West, we have to worry about skin color, prejudice, and all those sorts of things. But for them, it's even more complicated because no matter where they want to go, you have to apply for a visa almost everywhere, which means telling the immigration authorities everything about your life, your job, your family, your income, all those things that we have to tell them. When they want to travel, they just get a plane ticket and fly. They're not like us. They don't have to prove that they have an income, that they have a family, that they have money, that they're going home, and that they're not leaving home to run away and not come back. But that's the biggest complexity for black travelers in Africa.
Now, you've set up a travel agency focusing on Africa. What do you hope to achieve?
Well, here in the West, in France, people have a lot of prejudices about Africa. It's a poor continent with nothing to do there. It isn't nice, and so on. And I wanted to show people that this isn't the case, that Africa isn't a big monolithic block where all the countries are the same and that each country has its own culture, customs, and cuisine. There are many beautiful things to see in Tanzania with its safaris, in Senegal, in Egypt, in Namibia, in Madagascar. And that's really what it's all about. I wanted to show the continent's beauty, to show people that each country has its own identity, and that there are some very beautiful landscapes and things to see in Africa.
What's happening in your Voyageurs Noirs Facebook group? What kind of things do you talk about? Do you get a lot of people from the continent, or on the contrary, for the reasons you've mentioned? Is it mainly Westerners?
I mainly have people from France, the vast majority, but I also have people from West Africa, particularly Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, and Cameroon. The group is made up of questions that people ask about a destination. For example, I'm planning to go to Morocco. Have you ever been there, and what's there to do? I'm planning to go to Romania. Is that safe for black people? I'm planning to go to the United States. Who has advice for Los Angeles? Questions like that.
What future do you see for African travelers? Do you see the emergence of a middle class that can afford to travel, and the possibility that these obstacles, these barriers to leaving the country, will gradually phase out?
I hope so. There are starting to be more and more agreements between the various African countries that allow citizens of one African country to travel to another with fewer obstacles. Having said that, it's not over yet. There's progress, but there's still work to be done. The second difficulty for black travelers from Africa who want to go as tourists to another African country is the price of plane tickets, which is extremely high in Africa between the countries there. And that's also what stops black African travelers from going to a neighboring country, for example.
Is this something you'd like to explore in your travel agency, the possibility of working with customers in West Africa, for example?
Absolutely. Well, the aim, right now I'm starting to send French travelers to Africa, and then eventually to send black travelers from Africa from one country to another, from Senegal to Côte d'Ivoire, from Benin to Cape Verde, from Morocco to Egypt, on all these destinations. Yes, that's also one of my projects.
Ruben Sviss, thank you very much for your time.
Merci à vous.